Thanks for joining us this morning as we review the first movies during our Tolkien Week, the 20th anniversary of the theatrical release of Return of the King. The trilogy, the Hobbit movies, otherwise known as There and Back Again and Don't Have Any Gold Left, You Stinking Sack-Filled Bagginses. We're skipping the synopsis and we're going straight toward the real fun sections, the theming, the reaction to it, the analysis, and of course your comments. We're going to be heavily looking at the viewer comments this morning because I want this to be more of an interactive morning because face it, this movie's been out for 20 years. I'm guessing most of the people that have seen it already.
Wait, this one hasn't been out for 20 years. This is a Hobbit.
You're right. For this one, it hasn't been 20 years. Correct. Close enough. Close enough.
Scarily so.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't this yesterday.
Don't give me my walker.
So I'm going to go ahead and put the spoiler screen on right now because we are spoiler territory.
This is spoiler filled.
It is. It's a landmine of spoilers. If you haven't seen this yet, do yourself the favor. Go out and see the movies. There's 3 of them for The Hobbit. Or better yet, read the books.
Yes.
And then
book.
Sorry.
Not
yes.
books.
Yes. This one book.
Book.
So I'm going to go ahead and start. I did a poll yesterday. And I made a bit of a mistake on the poll, and it was a little bit not realizing what the mistake was. And I'm going to put it up right here, and I'll tell you about it. Okay, so I'm going to switch the big screen. We'll switch back over for after that.
Wrong one.
This one here. Okay. So on the poll, I asked the question, who is your favorite character in the Lord of the Rings? Now, this was supposed to be for tomorrow, but we're going to cover it today because I made a mistake. And I didn't realize I made the mistake until after I read some of the comments. So I put the images up, and while I was grabbing all these images, I thought, you know what? There are way too many characters to put because you're limited here on YouTube to only put 4 down. So this is a bit of a confession. You don't know about this. I put this down and I thought I should just do elves. You know what? That would help narrow it down, and then I'll do others some other time. So as you see, the images just show the elves. And then I started getting the comments. And as I got the comments coming in, I looked at poor Kamachi. So I looked at Kamachi and he said Frodo. And I knew I could get away with him in saying some things. So I said, hey, he said Frodo. I said, wait, elves, Mr. Kamachi. We're looking for elves, not hairy-footed hobbits. And then he went on to say, wait a minute, I thought this is for all Lord of the Rings characters. And then I saw somebody else put a comment like Aragorn and Smeagol and others and Samwise Gamgee. And it slowly dawned on me that I had not changed the text for the question.
What's your favorite? That makes a lot.
For your favorite character.
I'm about ready to say, where the heck is everyone
here I was thinking, these people are dumb. They don't know the different races of the Lord of the Rings. But they do. No, they actually do. This fool does not know himself. So, yeah. We're going to redo this. And we're going to put, okay, so just for this group alone, Legolas got that. We're going to redo this, guys. I'm sorry. But Legolas, and we'll do like your favorite other characters. So we can get Smeagol in there and Gollum and all the others. So let me just go through this. Legolas by far got the top. Now Galadriel, I just rewatched all 3 movies for The Hobbit. And I'll tell you what, Galadriel kicks butt.
Yeah, she does. And
you know what?
Not the the fake Galadriel they want to push now.
Yeah, it's not the girl boss
Netflix.
Galadriel. She innately, and she hits him with her power, Sauron, and wow. Now she's spent, his energy is spent after that, but still, she's top. So
yeah, and it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't pushy.
No,
how she did it and where she did it.
It was well within
sense.
character. It was, and that was her specialty. And it's a feminine thing. You don't have to be, Arnold, Miss Arnold Schwarzenegger to prove yourself to the rest of the guys. So anyway, then, so Legolas, Galadriel, Arwen, and Mr. Elrond Smith came in last, which I don't understand. Dude's, he's good. Maybe it's just he's grumpy all the time. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, so then we get others. I just want to quickly go over this. So we had some really good answers on these others, and since it's not really restricted elves, that's a problem with this. There's way too. Even if I had all the pictures on it, there's way too many choices on this. So everybody would be just onesie twosies, and it wouldn't, really wouldn't come out. So I need to restrict the poll. So we got Galadriel, and he had a really good response. The whole thing here. Powerful without being masculine. That was a great response. Samwise Gamgee, another great response. Aragorn, enough said. Smeagol. Poor Smeagol. He gets the love, man. And then Frodo, of course, would be probably the main character. If there is a main character in The Lord of the Rings, then it is.
I don't know. This would be Frodo and Aragorn, I would say almost as a dual main character because of the progression of their characters.
Yeah, so this would be an epic where you don't have just one central character, but he was the... Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Stop sharing. Go around to this. Technical difficulties for the noob who doesn't know that he's not showing everything. And then this. Okay, I will go ahead and take it down. I made it big so everybody could see what was going on there. Touch screen is a technical guy. Here, you do the mouse. Okay, so I think we'll redo the poll and we'll just tighten it down.
I was about to say when I read that, I was like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Where's the rest of them?
No. So, so I wanted to go into. We have any comments? We do, and I will be responding as fast as I can to the comments. I'll put this up. Here we go. Spoiler alert, Legolas will still be on top.
I don't know, man. If you did Legolas, Aragorn...
I was going to do that originally.
Gimli, and probably Frodo. If you throw those in... No, instead of...
Gandalf. The three of them that were after...
Probably Gandalf instead of Gimli. You would probably... Those are probably the main characters. I would probably get the most out of it. So I think Gimli just falls behind.
I think so. Okay.
Although I really do like the actor. He did a great job with Gimli.
Gimli? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were... Yeah. I think they all did a fantastic job.
I think that's the issue. They're so good. It's like, oh, okay. Gotta cherry pick them.
Okay, so I want to go into themes and talk about... We'll do themes, and then we'll do a lot of nostalgia with it, and then we'll open up a lot more to the comments. I will say straight off that I do not believe that The Hobbit is specifically a Christian story as much as it is a story with Christianity so foundational to the world of Middle Earth that it becomes transparent to the story. This is Tolkien, unlike C.S. Lewis, his friend and writing companion. Tolkien he hated allegory. And Lewis did a lot of allegory. And so in Tolkien, there are Christian themes really so embedded into the story that even though God is not spoken of specifically, although there is the name for their God that they have in the story, it is just a part of it. And so that's one of the things that we want to take out of here, or at least show, is to do it now. The name of their god is Eru Iluvatar. His Tolkien's name for creator. He made this sort of mythology behind the scenes. You really see it in the Silmarillion. Those two names, Eru, Iluvatar, means he who stands alone and the father of all. And he created the Ainur who became the Valar and the Valar, which we won't be getting into deeply. But all to
Not
say,
today, but we'll definitely be getting into that Friday.
I don't know if I'm going to get too much for Friday. So that's probably a good place to transition to something. I do want to say right off the bat, this week is special. We are doing the Lord of the Rings week, or the Tolkien week, because this is the 20-year anniversary of the theatrical release of The Return of the King. So we are going to be hitting all this week. Tomorrow we are going to be going over the Lord of the. Oh, that's not the Two Towers, which is out of sequence. With Fellowship of the Ring. Then on Wednesday, yay! On Wednesday we're going to be hitting the Two Towers.
Yay!
Friday we're going to be hitting the Return of the King. I'm waiting.
Yay!
Okay, and then that's Thursday, and then Friday we're going to be looking at the theology of Tolkien, which is going to be fun because now that we've gone through all these, and he's written other things besides these books, but these are the ones we're going to focus on. Where's this guy coming from? What's his background? What is his intent, specifically in terms of his message about God and so forth?
I think this is the Lord of the Rings is definitely what he's most well known for.
Mm-hmm.
Really defining the entire sort of fantasy genre.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about some of this throughout this week, and his relationship with C.S. Lewis and so forth. And there are some really fascinating stories that go on
lots
behind
of fun
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff.
So I'm going to I'm going to put these comments up right now because I want to get something going in the comment section, get all your guys' feedback on everything. More film is needed with overarching Christian themes in this creative popular form. Lord of the Rings is full of it and epic. Okay, so really good comment. Two things I want to bounce off of that. At first is last week we did a review on The Shift,
and that was really.
If anybody has a chance to see it, go see it. I think we need to support this film.
I would say that it's in the sort of epic, not fantasy realm because it's a science fiction world, but along the same line, and it's a well done Christian themed movie. Yeah,
I would say the two movies this year that are like up there top, because let's face it, there's been not a really good reason to go to the theater recently. Godzilla Minus One was a good one, and then The Shift would be up for two different reasons. Godzilla was just. It's a monster movie. I think that had good character development and everything like that was in there.
It was actually character driven, which
right.
was like, what?
Yeah, it was good.
A Godzilla film?
Yeah. It's like the Godzilla film that always should have been. And then The Shift was a story of modern day Job and some really heavy hitter actors, as far as I'm concerned, that were in there. You also have the same actor, Sean Astin, who played Samwise Gamgee. He's in the film.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him.
Yeah, there's some others that are in there too, and the idea is you have the benefactor and stuff. I'm not going to go into it. You go see the review on that one. But to answer this comment, it did not smell like the typical Christian film.
No,
it was story driven, and that's what I agree with you 100%. That's what's needed. So I'm an author. I do Christian science fiction. And I struggle with that sometimes because I want to be able to put a message in there, but then the message then starts driving the story instead of the characters and the story itself driving it.
That I think is what has made at least the typical Christian films not as good as they should be.
Yeah,
because it's message driven, not character driven or story driven. So.
Yeah, so very good comment. Thanks for that. So what other than Tolkien's added philosophy towards writing fantasy, and you could say that he is the the father, the progenitor of modern fantasy. Everything is films and stories was pretty much from him. He took from his medieval studies, because as was a professor of, he's translated Beowulf and all that. He took that and then drew those in as stories for us today. A lot of Norse mythology and so forth was brought in. So he started the whole dwarves, elves, not just in the fairy tale stuff, but in something else that was more adult, and that started this genre.
And now, granted, they were elves, there were dwarves before C.S. Lewis. We're not saying that. That was before Tolkien. Before Tolkien. But the concept of how we interact with them and the idealized sort of picture we have in our minds of elves that popped up throughout all of fantasy at this point comes from the concepts given by Tolkien. Because if you look back at the earlier version of dwarves and of elves, they're completely different than what we see in Tolkien's work.
Right.
And again, I think it's hilarious because it's based off of a world built on Christian concepts.
Right. That and a lot of the Norse heritage that he pulled out. I want to put up with this. Now, we have put up with this. I want to put this up.
I'm gonna put up with this.
I want to put up with it.
I'm gonna put up with this live stream. It's hard, but
so one of the things that comes out a lot in the story, we're looking at Christian themes, and then we're going to get into some of the details of both the book and the movies. Christian values and deadly sins. I'm going to put this up now.
I'm actually at the right place.
Yeah, you're good. This was by the way, this was a poster that was taken from Sketchy. The link is in the description. I wanted to give proper support to the person who put this together. But it shows two different lists. Let's see if I do my hand the right way. On this side, we have the deadly sins, and on that side, we have the virtues. Now, this isn't something that is strictly in the Bible. You don't look up a verse and you find this in the Bible or anything like that. But these are just general concepts that we've developed over time to say these categories are, you got this bad side, it's like looking in the mirror. This bad side over here, and then the good side over on his side. There you go. And they kind of balance each other out. Wrath and patience, gluttony and temperance, greed and charity. Now, these are older words that are, older English words that aren't used as much today, but envy and kindness, sloth and diligence, lust and chastity, pride and humility. So they kind of balance each other out. They're opposite ends of the spectrum. And as we look through the Hobbits, we're going to see how these different sins and virtues compete with each other. You can almost take this like a sliding graph and to move it along for probably both Bilbo and Thorin Oakenshield. And during this book / movies, you could say, how is this developed? And we could really see what happens with, for example, and we're going to go into these next ones, and I might just bring the scale back up again to show as we go through. The next theme that's there is the reluctant hero to the courageous hero. I don't even know if you'd say reluctant hero. Talking about Bilbo at the beginning.
I definitely say he's reluctant at the beginning. He don't want to do anything.
No, he wants his doilies.
He wants to stay home.
Yeah, this one's obvious. It shows how much someone who's reluctant and uncomfortable,
content.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, is how much you can achieve when you're forced out of your hole in the ground in your comfort zone. This is something that is majorly overlooked, I think, today. We've said in a few of our videos before, and this exemplifies it more than any of the other movies that we looked at. Take care versus taking courage. And we really have been in our philosophy of our mentality recently over the last few years with COVID and other events that have happened. We just want to be safe. We just want to be comfortable. And we are sometimes willing to spend our birthright to be able to stay comfortable and not get hurt. When we are challenged, life challenges us in so many different ways to get out there and face our dragons. We have to do that. It's a lie to say that I'm able to stay comfortable, because you will not stay comfortable. If you stay in that position, you will just die. You'll just wither. Stagnate and just become this old curmudgeon stuck to his couch, because that's where you want to be. And we can't do that. We can't afford to do that. So that's number one. Do you have any other comments on that before I move on in the comment section? Okay. Next theme that you can pull out. And please, in the comment section, if you see anything else, any other themes Christian themes that you want to pull out and do this. And these are not that specific. When I say Christian themes, I'm not saying that these are exclusively Christian. These are themes that are well within the Christian theology, but not necessarily exclusive to it. Courage is something that is across the board, is a good thing. Turning to Thorin Oakenshield, we see another sin that was turned to the correct way, to a virtue for him in the end. The blindness of greed. Tolkien refers to Smaug's obsession of knowing every bit of his hoard, and Thorin quotes this, and it's like, boom, the light goes on in Frodo's eyes, or Bilbo's eyes, when he sees this. Each coin, each goblet, each jewel and precious stone, he calls this the dragon sickness, where he's just like, I am so obsessed and focused on this. And he implies that Tolkien implies that this kind of dragon sickness bedevils many people in contemporary society, those who know the value of every little thing and the worth of nothing. Because your mind has been twisted. And we really see that to an extreme with Thorin when he gets this dragon sickness going on.
We do have a clip here for at least the dragon sickness sort of style. Here, real quick, just a comparison of the dragon itself that we're talking about.
Don't be shy.
Okay, very end. Whatever. We'll just redo that. Okay.
Where are you?
This is the pile he's referring to. I mean, look at the size of this thing as far as the dragon goes. Massive.
Yeah, more so than any kind of super lotto. This is that. I kind of like gold. I'd like to go gold surfing. That looks
Gold surfing. I think it'd be painful. I don't think we got Scrooge McDuck over here going through this.
Yeah. So, in other words, Tolkien saw this obsession with material things and machines as soul killing, for the spirit thrives not on gaining possessions, but on emptying out the self in love. In this, the dwarves did not as much kill Smaug, but become him in his obsession. At least Thorin did. Like the One Ring, this treasure, especially the Arkenstone, possessed the bearer with evil. And I got some clips on. You got an Arkenstone? You got an Arkenstone. Got an Arkenstone clip. Okay.
So this is just a representation of the two different characters and how each of them values.
And let me set this up a bit. Okay, so I don't know if you remember the movie. It might have been a while. For me, it's real fresh because I saw it just a few hours ago, just to refresh my mind. Bilbo, remember, has found the Arkenstone, and he's kept it. And his burden is like he wants to tell Thorin that he has it. But what's the spoilers? Okay, just spoilers. If you just joined us, we're doing spoilers. All right, go see the movie. So he has the Arkenstone, but he doesn't want to tell him because he knows, at least Smaug told him, that it's going to corrupt Thorin. He can't wait. Smaug was saying, I can't wait to see Thorin get this because Oh yeah, it's going to destroy him. Bilbo sees that. He sees the destruction, the dragon madness that Thorin is being consumed with, and he doesn't want to give it to him, and he holds on to it. Thorin's like, anybody who has this is a betrayer, must give this to me. All right, roll the clip.
What is that? In your hand.
It's nothing.
Show me.
Not what you expect.
I picked it up in Bayon's garden.
You've carried it all this way.
I'm going to plant it in my garden, in Bag End.
So he's going to plant in Bag End as just to remind him of this wonderful journey he went on with his friends.
The good and the bad, to remind him the good, the bad. And you see the change. Thorin starts melting and just think, you know, here is a theme that runs throughout not only this story, but the entire, I think all of Tolkien's writings, is that the simple hobbit tending his garden, his or her garden, and books and fellowship, being together, family, community, that's what we need. And at the end, Thorin says that to him. He says, the world would be a much better place if we had people like you, if it was filled with people like you. And this is Tolkien's a big part of his message. He just does not like he didn't even drive because he didn't like machinery. The guy was like full Amish, but it does show how how important just living a simple life where you're blessing other people, how that is really the best way to go. And I'm going to throw a comment up here without reading, and I'm trusting you guys totally on this. Sam's character is of great importance, even if they blame you. Even if they blame you, they don't believe you. They push you away. He didn't lose his friend's sight. Okay. Sight for a second, determination, love, and fight for the right. Now, this would be good. I guess maybe you're commenting on who was the best character your favorite character in the Lord of the Rings story. True. And I think we see a lot of that reflected in this story with Bilbo himself.
Yeah, I think it really does show that. Now, in this story, I think it really does itself a disservice in a lot of ways because it has so many characters, but yet the only ones you really remember out of the dwarves, well, the only one I remember at least, right off the top of my head, would be Thorin. The others kind of are background.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I would say that there's different characters that do come out. You have, I think it's Barlin, the one that has he's the older guy, and he's almost like a grandfather figure to Bilbo.
Well,
and
how many are there?
13.
There are 13.
Don't ask me for all of them. I don't even know Santa's
That's what
reindeer.
my point is.
Okay, you got
a couple that you
Feely
remember.
and Keely.
Most of them
Okay,
don't.
you got the two brothers, and they're in the fights, and they're doing a lot, right?
Yep.
You got the fat guy. I think Bomber. Okay, so he does his, but he's more just like for comic relief. Yeah, I think you're right. I think for the most part, a lot of the dwarves are forgettable, and they go into the background. But
yeah, that was my point. There's so many dwarves there, and most of them don't have really a purpose as far as the storytelling from the movie standpoint.
I would say in the book that was the case too. I think they were more just a troop.
They're troop, yeah.
Yeah. So we covered a couple of things. One is courage. The other is the virtue of courage, the sin of greed, and then we talked about the goodness of just living a simple life. There's a lot to be said for that. And then divine providence is written all throughout the story. Now, there's one thing of all these themes that we really want to pull out that might be a bit of a surprise, and that was the title of this, and we're going to get to that. Divine Providence, more than just fate, something that is to happen. And the difference between Divine Providence and fate is this. In fate, you have things that are supposed to happen. You don't really know why. It's just like the universe wants this to happen, or the universe is just somehow things fall into place. But with Divine Providence, you have a will because there's a personality behind that will. And that personality, that person is behind moving these things as chess pieces on the board. And that's what you see in Tolkien's writing, both the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series. It's a Christian sense of providence in which it can be traced all through his worldview. Elrond holding the map to the moonlight just happened to be there at the right time, the right day. There you got that moonlight right there. That you have Bilbo just in the right place to find the ring. Okay, so that was the ring's will. We find out later. The dwarves and the Hobbit being at the doorstep of the Lonely Mountain just at the right time, the right minute to happen. So all these things come into place. They're not just happenstance. Okay, so the writer's just making this whatever he wants. But with that, he's giving in to say that there is a mind and a will behind all of this. So would you say that you had seen that through the story?
Oh, yeah. I think that you see that through this book, through the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You see that definitely throughout it, that there is a divine plan in works that are happening behind the scenes. And then in the additional stories around Middle Earth, at least as far as what Tolkien wrote, you see that again throughout the entire period is more divine intervention, more divine planning, and an overall arcing to the story.
Of course, we have the Eagles.
The cheap book, the Eagles.
Deus Ex Machina Eagles. Another thing that can be pulled out is humility, and this goes hand in hand with living the quiet life. Ralph C. Wood, in his 2003 book, The Gospel According to Tolkien, which is a good book, by the way, it'd be a good reference for anybody who wants to read it. He concludes, and this is in his book, so I'm going to quote, Christians are called to be hobbit-like servants of the king and his kingdom. Who is our king? What is that kingdom? I'll let that live, or let that just go as a thought. Last theme, and probably the most important, and again, if you have any that you've seen pulled out, throw those out there. These are the ones that I've seen. And this is the one that's a bit of a surprise. It's going to sound like a contradiction, but you'll see as things develop, it's not really. Tolkien painted a world on a cyclical downward spiral until the end of the age. In his worldview, the world was ruled by destiny, calamity, and judgment. And the world of Middle Earth was a world that was decaying, that was changing. The elves are going out west. You have the One Ring, the Necromancer in this story, who we discover as Sauron, who becomes the Dark Lord and threatens all of Middle Earth. And there are these cycles that they go through, not only in this age, but if you look at his other writings concerning Middle Earth, this happens, that there is this great strength that's there of goodness, and it's challenged by darkness, and the goodness overcomes. And then later on, you have more that happens. And this cycle just goes over and over. But with that cycle, there's also a downward spiral where you have more and more decay. The men of West are not like they used to be. That there is this decay in humanity. There's this decay in light. And that's a very, very pessimistic view. But it does have an ultimate good thing. That view is that ultimately we will have this age, this world will end, and there will be a new, better world where there is no death. there is no decay, there is no sorrow, that will eventually come. And I want to quote Romans chapter 8, verses 22 to 24. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. Not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we await eagerly for the adoption of sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. So this whole world is groaning, will eventually decay. Even if you are an atheist and a secularist, and you don't believe any of that, eventually this earth will be overtaken by the sun when it enlarges and becomes a red giant. And then this whole universe will eventually either end in a big crunch or a big sigh and whisper. And nothing we have done will remain. It'll all be gone. So either way, if you look at it, through Christianity, at least you have hope that there is a better world to come. And that is written into Tolkien. You have all this pessimism. Things are getting bad, but there's hope for a better world. Sorry, I needed to finish that before I went on.
Nope.
So
We're good. So you mentioned the Necromancer. I think we'd be remiss if we're not reviewing this movie and at least point out they took a book and made it three movies. Really? Lots of padding, lots of additional characters.
Stretch. Oh my gosh.
The last movie is like 90% not even in the book.
Yeah.
Most of that battle's not.
Yeah.
But one of the scenes that they added that I thought was a good touch was the Necromancer. And hopefully I'm grabbing the right one here. It's a Necromancer scene.
Should have stayed dead.
I think they did a good job here on just giving some action to it.
Oh my gosh, this is one of the best scenes in the movie. All three. Garman's got some skill.
I think it shows a bit of, well, everyone knows what happens to him later, but it shows him fighting alongside the good side. And I think this gives a good representation of that. And something else we don't really see a lot of in this is actiony when it comes to the wizards.
Yeah.
Because they don't they're like, I'm going to light this thing on fire and then throw it.
Yeah.
And that's the most epic it gets, is lighting things on fire and throwing until you get to the Balrog. And then that really gets epic.
Right.
And if you know the theology behind it, that really gets epic really quick.
Yeah, there's a little surprising seeing those old men being able to fight like this. It was almost like seeing Yoda during his fight.
Flip all out.
Yeah, ironically, against the same actor here. Okay. I got a couple of comments I'm going to put up. Again, I'm doing this by faith without even actually reading it first. What are you doing?
No, that one you already did.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Frodo, yes, this is the one. Frodo is the human. He is tempted through the entire journey, who is the humble, invisible, loyal, loving to escort him to the light, not into the lake of fire. Sam.
I think that's a continuation on the mention of Sam in the last comment.
Yes. Okay. But we're going to be focusing on the Hobbit right now. So this is good. He is exemplifying that sort of humility and that loyalty.
That comes in tomorrow.
Yes. And we'll talk about the influence of World War I on Tolkien in this.
I think even in the Hobbit here, you have that sort of aspect. You have the aspect of the reluctant hero being taken away. You can almost look at him being drafted in some ways into this adventure, losing some of his friends in this journey.
Yeah. And
coming back home to survive and having the impacts and all that changing his aspect and how he perceives life itself when he returns back to the quiet sort of nature. And this is something that's the same in some ways in Lord of the Rings, where you have the adventure and then the return.
Yep, the hero's journey. I don't want to.
Well, a lot of times in a lot of movies, they just do the adventure and then you have the victory, and then that's kind of it.
Without
They
the
don't
return,
show the
to show the
return of the people to their
Yes.
starting spot and what happens after the victory.
right. And
I mean, you get a little bit of falling actions, but not like this.
you do see the falling action. You do see the change in the hero as he or she returns home and seeing the difference, the contrast from timidity to courage, from weakness to strength, from hatred to love, whatever the situation is where there has been the character change. In-depth analysis. I want to take a look at all three movies: Unexpected Journey, The Desolation of Smaug, and The Battle of the Five Armies, and what worked and what didn't in this. So we're going to turn from themes now. We're going to look more at the actual movies and / books, a little bit of comparison between the two, get a little nostalgic with this, and have just some fun. And again, open this up to any of the comments from you guys to see what your thoughts are on it. So I'm going to start this discussion with some of the things that didn't work. And a lot of what didn't work was the fact that they did, Peter Jackson, bless his heart, stretching this out into 3 movies. I think you could have done 2, in my opinion, that there's enough material there that maybe you can do 2. I don't know where you would have sliced it between the 2, but it was a little bit difficult with having it this much. So I'm going to put up the characters that we had in here with it, like the dwarves. You talked
Again,
about
all the dwarves. Look at all of them.
Yeah, but they were in the book. You had 13 dwarves in the book.
I know you had 13 dwarves in the book, and each one does play their own role in the book, but not so much in the movie. Even though he stretched it out, he didn't really give any room to a lot of them.
I don't know if you really can, because screen time, I would disagree with you on this. I think that you're limited to how much you can do with screen time. You get a little muddled if you do much more. I think each of them had their own character. They were distinct. Some of them, I don't know if like you say, they're not very memorable, but
You got the third one from our left there. One that looks like he might be balding a little bit. And
on this way over on this side. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And who's that?
Oh, there's names for all of them. Of course, we know this guy who did, I think that you see a really good job of what happened to his character. We talked to him before. Besides the dwarves, you have good old Schmeagol Gollum, who is here, played by Andy Serkis. Now, I've had a problem with pronouncing actors' names, and is it Serkis or Serkis? I don't know with this one. And I looked it up, and I'm sorry, I could not find it. But anyway, he did a really good job with Gollum, both here and in Lord of the Rings. Probably one of the favorite characters in terms of the tragedy of what happened to him. Then you've got Legolas's daddy, the king of the elves, the wood elves. Barlin.
Want to be Aragorn?
Balin. Want to be?
They want to be Aragorn?
Bard. Yes. And then, let's see. What was her name? Turiel. Who do not. Okay. I can't help but look at her and think of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm sorry. That just keeps coming up as her character. I'm just going to run through these characters real quick. Here's a great image of all the cast together, including the dragon himself. And then all the bad guys. Cannot forget the bad guys here. And so forth. So we did have with them. Oh, do I have it? Where's the image? Okay, here we go.
What am I looking at?
Benedict Cumberbatch. Sorry, thank you. He plays a dragon. This is when he was going on, and they did the white dots to be able to do the animation with everything. And if you get a chance to see any of those videos when he's doing this, it's pretty good to watch. Where he's crawling around before being Smaug, and we had these two together previously, and I don't see the image. Darn it, I did have it. Okay, switching back to comments, we've got. He could do two, yes, but.
Oh, 2 movies.
Yes,
2 movies.
yes.
Again, all in all, I don't think all 3 of them together. I know we said the stretching out was not the best decision, in my opinion. I still, for what it is, I still enjoy the 3 together.
Yeah,
I still enjoy them all together. All in all, I think they did a decent job on it. We can be too nitpicky.
So I'm gonna throw this out as a question: so they got a lot of flack for making the Hobbit 3 movies when it came out. Sometimes movies kind of age like fine wine, sometimes like spoiled milk. And so here's my question: is the 3 movies of the Hobbit, is that fine wine or is it spoiled milk? Tell you that the graphics, the CGI held up pretty well. I mean, you could tell that it's a little bit of CGI there, but I think it looks pretty good, even by today's standards.
No, Lord of the Rings definitely wine, definitely fine wine.
So one of the things they've added was okay, we got a
fine wine.
We got a fine wine here, and I'd be curious to say why you think it's aged like fine wine. So we'll leave that open as part of this discussion. One of the things they added to the movie that was not in the book was Azog the Defiler and Bolg. And Bolg was, I'm going to put his image up here. Where are the bad guys? Bad guys.
Bolg was more or less kind of a lesser character, all in all.
He's just nasty. He's the guy that's, excuse me, the orc that's on the right-hand side there. And the Goblin King, he was just flat out gross.
The Goblin King, yeah, I could see where you would add the Defiler and the Goblin King. The other one was like, eh.
Well, just more conflict. You had to, in order to stretch it out to 3 books, you had to pull in other information from previous sources. And I can understand the thinking behind this to say, hey, we want to be able to show everything into this one movie. So they looked at some of the Tolkien's writings and they pulled some in. So Azog, I believe in the original book, may have been mentioned, but he was dead. And Bolg was mentioned in the original book, but not to not nearly the screen time.
And it does add quite a bit of having those characters in there. Definitely the Defiler, because you have it becomes personal. It's not just there was this conflict and they fought and the old king died. No, this was personal. This is something that pulls the Battle of Five Armies and makes it personal for the characters there.
For better or for worse, though, so we're talking about the three movies here: Unexpected Journey, Desolation of Smaug, and Battle of Five Armies. The Unexpected Journey was definitely about Bilbo.
Yep.
The Desolation of Smaug, pretty much about Bilbo, but also about Thorin Oakenshield. The last one was about Thorin.
Oh yeah,
about his obsession
Thorin.
And then return to grace there at the end as he's dying. It was about Thorin, and Bilbo becomes a spectator at that point. Now he's instrumental in what in Thorin's redemption, but he's no longer the central character. For better or for worse, that's the way it was. Romance of Keeley the dwarf and Turiel the elf.
That's completely added and forced, and my gosh, could they have thrown that out? Now they've added quite a number of characters to the book
To the movie, you mean? That we're
to
not.
movie that were not in the book. Again, having the villains in there makes sense. Legolas is a nice little tie-in. I could go either way with him being added there. I do like having the link say, yeah, this originally that was still his dad that was there.
Yeah.
So it's a good visual reference for
Right.
people to say, okay, these are all interlinked more than what we thought they were.
Yeah, and there is nice reference at the end where is Legolas says, "I'm going to run off on my own, Dad. I'm going to do my own thing," and his dad says, "Well, you may want to go find." Arathorn was a good man. Go find his son. I don't know what his name is, but he's known as the Ranger of the North as Strider.
Oh, I think it's hilarious when he picks up one of the dwarves' necklaces and he sees the dwarf's son there. Oh, they're ugly.
Yes. Like, who are these two? Oh, that's disgusting. Who are these? Well, first one's my wife, the bearded one, and the other, that's my son, Gimli. So this is blind.
There's some nods to Lord of the Rings. I think they did a decent job. If this would have been a prequel to the Lord of the Rings and released beforehand, I think it could have tied in well and hinted well to it. But even then, they did a good job linking the two, I think.
Here I've got a couple of comments I'm going to put up. We got one from Threatened Sanity saying, "Why? I think the photography, sound, scenery. Also, I think the medieval-like theme movies are hard to go very bad soon." That's a good point. I think I think what movies that sour quickly, the quickest, I think, are one that are just specific, timely things that are happening right now and are pertinent just to today's current events. So that gets past that pretty soon. The other thing is stuff that I'm going to talk about in the near future. Oh, these things are going to happen.
And they don't happen.
And they don't happen.
It's like,
I
you gotta laugh at them.
Yeah, I think the exception.
Back to the Future.
Well, I was gonna say that one. I think that's an exception because it really kind of pokes fun at itself. And I don't think they really believed that we were going to have. They believed we were going to have flying cars by now. But
I don't have my flying surfboard. I don't know what's wrong with
that. Was a
concept.
Yes, but that was a concept that was back in the 50s. If you look at any kind of futurist drawings and stuff like that, that would be the ideal. So they're going back to the idea that was in the 50s ideal of the future. I think that's what they were looking at. But yeah, so that doesn't. So medieval movies, I think you're right that they tend to. I mean, even something that's like, oh gosh, back in the 50s or even earlier than that, some of these old medieval movies still do pretty well. El Cid, that still does pretty well. That was medieval. Let's see another comment here from Adam. Probably spoiled milk because of the story, the added and deleted stuff takes you out. Also, I saw them once, but I don't have the same draw. I saw them once, but I don't have the same draw because of the departure from the story. Okay, so anybody who had, and I had read the books, Tolkien's books, far before I had seen the movies. I was so excited when I heard that these were coming out, and I was also dreading it at the same time that these guys are going to ruin it. Now, Lord of the Rings series, I thought they did really
They stayed
good.
really close to the
the parts that they dropped out. Just a little bit of spoiler for tomorrow. The parts that they dropped out, I think were okay, but I won't say anything more than that. But for the Hobbit,
again, the romance was not needed. I don't think her character at all really added things. I think they could have used one of the other dwarves that they already had sitting around in their back pocket to fill in wherever she would have added anything to it.
Well, I think also, okay, so whenever you add, as a writer, I would say this too, it depends on what your target audience is. If it's just a bunch of dudes, you don't really necessarily need the romance. I mean, we're okay with some, the Shift had good romance in it, right?
Yeah,
but it wasn't
the driving.
It wasn't
force.
dripping in romance. If you're looking for a female audience, you may want to be able to put that in there to say, oh, you got this love interest and stuff like that going on.
But it was like, it definitely felt forced. Like it was coming at the last possible second.
I'm sorry. But
someone went into the story room and said, hey, we had a romance scene in the Lord of the Rings. We sort of had this romance thing going on. We need to make sure we have a romance over here in the Hobbit.
Okay. I'm a shorter dude. All right. And so this is not anything against short guys. But give me a break. Women like tall guys. Okay. So I can't see her saying, I can't have Legolas. I'm going to have this short guy over here instead. Oh, he's got my fancy and he has a stone with scratches in it. No, that's not going to work. I don't think it works very well. Okay. So another.
Some of those lines were so cringe too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the actors though. Okay. It's hard enough because there is a lot I like about the trilogy. Yeah, there is. You almost want to see like an edited version where you can't really cut some of this stuff out though.
That's just it.
It's not going to work.
In the end, in order to do justice to a book, you need to have a longer movie than just one can show. I mean, I don't know how many times we've seen books converted into movies and then them being absolute junk because they cut out so much or they have to rush through so much in order to make it fit there.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think an example of that it wasn't a book to movie, but it was a TV series to movie, which would be the Avatar, The Last Airbender. When they converted that from series into movie format, they dropped a lot of the comedy, a lot of the interaction between people, and I think that came to a huge detriment onto it. And they had 4 movies planned, and they got 1.
Okay, so one of the hard things, very, very, very difficult things to do with movies, transitioning from a book to a movie, is that in a book you can be in the character's mind.
Yes.
In a movie, you can show things. So as an author, I get bogged down sometimes when I write too much. I love writing description, but it bogs it down. So I have to take it out. But you can show what's going on, the motives and everything's in someone's mind. It's very difficult to translate that into cinema. So if you have a book like Ender's Game, where you're in the character's mind all the time, you try to translate that to screen, it's going to be difficult. The first I
still thought they did pretty decent with that.
I thought they did too. I think it didn't do as well, but it's another live stream. So in the Dune series, in the first book, the Dune, in the 1980s version of Dune, there was a lot of voiceover for the character's thoughts. It was a little bit distracting, but it was an interesting way to do it. That would show a lot of the internal thoughts that are going on in the book translated into the story. I don't know if that's very effective, but that was one way to do it. Did I do this one? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Right here. Sorry, Adam. I want to make sure that you get your input here. I do think there is plenty of material in the book to do 3 movies faithfully without needing much filler. It's a tough one. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure if there would be enough material. But, hey, go direct your own, man.
Yeah, go do YouTube channel and make your own Lord of the Rings.
Oh gosh, it'd be so hard.
I'd follow it.
So there's a couple of other additions or other changes that are made to from the book to the story. I'm just going to go over these real quickly. You already mentioned one that was Legolas that was added. Legolas was not in the book. I don't think he was a bad addition. I think having him was kind of good and was more than just fan service. I think you like seeing the interweaving of different themes with what's, especially if his father's in there. So
yeah,
he would.
That's what I'm saying. He was a natural addition to it.
Radagast the Brown was also that. Now my wife looks at him and thinks he is the grossest character ever, probably more so than Gollum, because he's got bird crap on his forehead the entire movie. What about him? So no, he was not in the book. I'm not sure how much he added really to the story. What they did add, one thing that they added that I liked was the confrontation with Necromancer. Now that was revealed to be Sauron in the Hobbit Trilogy, but in the book that was not known. He was just mentioned as the Necromancer.
But he was in the overall story behind the scenes.
Yes, that was him. He was done. They did show more in here, and I think it worked.
I think they did a good job showing also the corruption of Saruman. Even at this point, you're seeing some of that bleed through.
I think the whole thing with Lake Town was a distraction.
Oh, the Lake Town scene.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Bard was good. Bard was a good character, and showing him there, but they did that. It's like really super stretch it out, and I think it really dragged down the story because you had the confrontation with Sauron / Necromancer, and you had Gandalf, Gladriel, and Elrond together, and Sauron together fighting them. That was awesome seeing that together. But you go from that epic world-changing battle scene. Like, this is all happening. We know that's going to happen in the future. We know the Sauron's going to get away and he's going to be able to do whatever he does down in Mordor. But, I mean, seeing them all work together like that was pretty cool. That one scene that you showed earlier, that was good. And then we switch back to Lake Town and we got the stereotypical bad, self-absorbed mayor with his worm-tongued halfling, at his side. He's not a halfling, but, that was from the epic to the just kind of stupid. I think it was a letdown to happen. Now, I don't know. You guys felt that way or not. It is what it is. And then they removed Thorin's funeral and Dane's coronation at the end. Some people really didn't want to see that happen. I don't know. I'd go either way on that one. Okay, so looking for any last comments. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I think that sums it up.
Okay, so we have coming up, like I said, for the rest of this week, tomorrow, we have out of sequence, the Fellowship of the Rings, the Ring tomorrow, followed by the Two Towers, Return of the King, and finally on Friday, the Theology of Tolkien, which I'm really looking forward to, having gone through all of these to dig into that. And appreciate the interaction. Looking for more tomorrow. This is a different approach than what we've been taking, but for me, it's been enjoyable, and I hope it's been good for you guys as well. What's that?
Like and subscribe.
Oh, yes. Please like and subscribe. That actually does make a difference. And we are really pushing to get up to our 500. Wow, spamming.
Not spamming.
He's not spamming. He's not spamming. He's not spamming.
Commenting.
He is.
Oh,
yes.
Everyone comment. Give me your comment. Why are these people spamming me? I don't understand.
Home. I want to stay in my hobbit hole by myself without this filled buckets. Super hard to criticize because Peter Jackson is really very good. Yeah. Guys, he does a lot better than I ever could. So any kind of criticism I would give for that. Dude needs some love, right? Yes. And spam. Okay.
Monty Python.
Do like and subscribe if you could. That, like we were saying, it really does help. We're trying to get over. Once you may not know this, but there are certain levels that really help open this up to other people that we can get some leverage for if we get some of that. So
another aspect is just sharing this video.
Letting
people know about it.
Put it on, wrap it with a nice bow, put it on the Christmas tree, give it as a gift. It's not going to cost you anything. It'll make friends of all your family. They will love you tremendously for doing this. I can say no more. You want me to add anything to it, or is that about it?
I don't know. This is your channel, not mine. I got my own stuff going on.
Yeah, but you are. Yes, you are. And I
gotta go live tonight.
Go watch it. Go watch his channel.
I gotta go live tonight about comments.
He does
so
good
that should
stuff.
Be fun.
And I'm going to throw this up here.
TikTok.
Team spam. Yes. All right. Again, thank you everybody for your participation. We look forward to tomorrow.